Hey, it's James, Father's Rights and Resources, hashtag how I got custody. I'm going to show you this total doofus of a goofball and a subhuman piece of garbage sellout family law attorney. He's sitting there giving people advice as to what works in going to family court. This family law center in the middle of Washington, it looks like they have offices all across the state. Watch this and watch me comment how this attorney is so full of crap and fake and phony. I'm going to email this to every attorney at the office, including the doofus here and all the other dork, sellout, subhuman house slaves that work there. Check this. This is Zachary Ashby from Pacific Northwest Family Law giving you a tip about how to go through court.
We just did a CLE with judges, and one of the big takeaways,
CLE is continuing legal education. These attorneys got around and went to their cocaine wife swapping parties and did a circle jerk over each other and said, look at how glorious we are. Let's worship ourselves. We know what's best for kids. And watch this. The name is I'll show you the link, but it's Pacific Northwest Family Law. This is an attorney at law, going to a court of law, doing continuing legal educations about the law. He doesn't say one damn thing about the law in Washington. They come up with their own stuff. Now, all these guys, like, listen to what a fruity little feminine simp he is. I had it stuttered and fumbled. You really want a guy like this representing you in court? Zealously advocating for you?
one of the things, all the judges and commissioners, and these were judges and commissioners from 3 or 4 of the counties: Benton, Franklin, Walla Walla, Yakima.
Okay, this is like the middle of Washington, the southern Washington kind of deserty area, southeast Washington area. Not, these towns aren't as big as Seattle and Tacoma that are in there, but, you know, kind of midtown, country mixed area.
They all had the same advice to give, and that was quit making the motions and other information about yourself.
Okay, so parents, you can't talk about yourself. Even though this stupid jackass, and here's his law firm, I guess that's Daddy, who must have been a henpecked little simp. Ashby. Mommy ran the show at the house, and this guy's pretending that these family court systems aren't run and overrun by radical feminists. They give mothers custody 95% of the time, and single mothers are the ones destroying families. Every statistic out there shows the safest place for a child is with the biological father. Single mothers commit 60% of child abuse, at least 50% of domestic violence. 90% of the pedophiles out there are the mom's new boyfriend or the stepdad. But let's look at this. Here's something he left out. He says, parents, don't talk about yourself. Well, this stupid jackass has never learned that there's a thing called the United States Supreme Court. And the United States Supreme Court, they got a case called Troxel versus Granville. And all throughout that case, it says visitation rights. It says they talk about parents' fundamental right to make decisions of the care and custody of their kids. Parents' rights. It doesn't talk about the kids and their rights. Fundamental rights and liberty interests. They're citing case law that goes back to Stanley versus Illinois. I can't remember what years those are. But they're going back decades and decades to other court cases from years and 100 year of case law. And it talks about parental rights. And guess what this also says? So this stupid jackass is sitting there saying, you got to prove to the courts that you can take the kids to soccer practice, and you're doing this. And what are you doing for the kids? The number one most important thing for this guy is sitting there saying, what are you doing for the kids? Taking them to soccer practice, taking them to music lessons, taking them here, taking them there. The most important thing the child needs is a loving relationship with you. Actually, let's take a look at the law that this stupid jackass is ignoring. RCW 2609002. Google it yourself. This is a Washington attorney. Here's the Washington law, and he doesn't mention it once. As we get into this, I'm going to show you. He's going to say, the judges and commissioners said you got to take them and do this, and the mothers deserve custody because they're doing more of that stuff. This guy is a stupid jackass because he's sitting there saying the mothers are the primary caretakers. You also want to know what another Supreme Court says? In Washington State, there's a Supreme Court case called Kovacs that says there's no presumption of custody. There's no presumption of full custody to the primary caretaker. You know, the parent doing all the duties and stuff like that. Kovacs. This guy's ignoring that. It doesn't say anything about you can't talk about yourself. It says there's no they gave custody to a dad after the mother was the primary caretaker throughout the divorce and after the separation. She appealed, got custody back, said, I'm the primary caretaker. Then he went to the Supreme Court and they said, nope, there's no presumption of custody. We agree with the father and reversed the Court of Appeals. There's no presumption of custody. But they have to look at all the factors in the law. What does this stupid jackass do? Is he talking about factors in law? He says, this is what the judges and the commissioners say at their little secret CLE thing. Just like they have a secret meeting when they get Title 4D bonus money and Violence Against Women Act bonus money, and they all meet together and say, how are we going to split this up? Oh, give it to the judges first, then DCS, then DSHS, then CPS, and all these other groups. That's all they care about is their money and their cut of the pie. But let me go back to the law. It says, in any proceeding, the best interest shall be the standard. The state recognizes the fundamental importance of the parent-child relationship. That says relationship. It doesn't say soccer practice, music lessons, and all this other stupid stuff that this fruity weirdo and all his goofy-looking weirdo friends at his law firm where they destroy children, what their little MO is. Look at these goofballs. These stupid, goofy-looking weirdos sitting here determining that it's not about the parents. It starts with the parents' rights. And then you are a fundamental important thing, the parent-child relationship. The relationship between the children should be fostered. So it starts with the relationship. But this stupid jackass said, you can't talk about yourself and your relationship with the kid. And you have a right to the kid. You have to do all these other things.
What they see is that both attorneys, even people who are represented by attorneys, come in, pound the table, and say, I have a right to my kids.
Troxel versus Granville, yes.
And me, and all they talk about is themselves. And
that's what Troxel does.
Their proposals and what they want.
So why can't the judges figure out, okay, both parents are important. Oh, one parent talks about me, says me 4 times in their paperwork. I'm going to punish the children and take that parent away. Stupid jackass, subhuman piece of garbage, sociopath, narcissistic little bitch.
Will benefit them. But the judges said that what they really want is to hear what will benefit the kids and why. And
RCW 2609002 says the fundamental relationship, the fundamental importance of the relationship. Relationship is spending time. You could be sitting there spending time, hugging your kid, sitting with your kid, watching a ball game, playing with your kid. This guy says you got to do this stuff.
And so what has been going on in the lives of the parents since separation?
What the hell does that mean?
They separated in the time they got into court. And so
yeah, usually the mother's withholding the children for no good cause. 90% of the time in high conflict cases, you stupid jackass, punk ass, little radical feminist bitch made slave.
So both of those are really important things for parents to explain to the court. For example, instead of saying, oh, it's my right to have, a big one that so-called men's rights attorneys will say is, oh, it's my client's right to have equal time with the kids.
That's what the U.S. Supreme Court says. Actually, this RCW, you know what it says also? It says the best interest of the children is normally served when the existing pattern of interaction between a parent is altered only to protect the child, meaning whatever's been going on, the bond you have with the kid should be maintained. If you live together, you both have 100% access. Anybody who's not retarded like this weirdo, my sister with Down syndrome can do the math on this. If you are around your kids 100% of the time each and you're broken up, the best scenario is 50-50. Because it says the existing pattern of interaction is normally the best interest of the child. This guy doesn't know how to read the plain language of the law, you stupid subhuman piece of garbage, child trafficking little bitch.
Just because he's a dad doesn't mean he shouldn't have time. And while that might be true, it's also not very productive.
You stupid jackass, all the statistics, science, and data says that the safest place for a children is with the father. What's more important than a child's safety? Then there's the relationship immediately after that. And he said, oh, that may be true that kids need fathers. It's automatically true, you subhuman piece of shit.
And might make you feel good and might make you think the attorney's doing a good job. But if your attorney goes into court and argues that, they're not doing a good job for you.
Oh, if they argue Troxel versus Granville in the RCW, which this guy doesn't mention once in this thing, Kovacs, Washington State Supreme Court, he's talking about the culture of the court by radical feminist women who made up this bullcrap so they can railroad dads, and he's following along with it like a good little house slave, and all he talks about is soccer practice. He could screw off